Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us here on JJTV. If you are watching us on YouTube, please be sure to subscribe if you haven't already done so. If you found us on Facebook, please like our page and tell all of your friends. With a little help, we can reach a larger audience and make a bigger difference in our viewing community. Well, women have had the same jobs as men for decades, but in some industries there's discrimination, and it oftentimes goes unchecked. Now joining us live via satellite is Kelly Nicholson, who's a pilot. Thanks for being on the program today, Kelly. How did you get interested in flying, and what sort of friction have you noticed from the opposite sex?
I always wanted to fly. It was this big dream. I started that in college, and 9/11 happened, and so there were less pilots, and I was discouraged. Well, in my 30s, I went back to fly, and I can tell you what it was like in Charlotte, North Carolina. I interviewed several flight schools, made sure that I did my due diligence, and found one that I matched with. Relatively new, but not so new. So just let's say he had about 300-400 hours. So 250 is what you need to get your commercial. He had just a few more. So I spent probably, I would say, 15-20 hours. Most students solo at 10 or 15. And I asked him one day, why can I not solo? His first response was, you need to learn to tie the airplane down. Well, anybody who knows anything about planes, really, that has nothing to do with landing the airplane. So I did that. I was very, compliant. So next lesson, I showed him I could tie the airplane down. We went back up in the air. And when we landed, I said, okay, why can I not solo? And his response was, I'm scared you will get lost like my wife does when she is driving. I'm scared you get lost in the air.
Incredible. Do you have any other examples, Kelly?
There's one specific maneuver where you have to put your gear down and you have to do it manually. And this is, just typical safety type thing. I had to reach behind me and do a crank and do it around. And what I could not understand in this particular instance, here again, I'm in this again. I had to do the maneuver 7-8 times, and I did it flawlessly. And I finally looked at him and I said, why? What am I not doing? I thought I had it. He goes, just do it one more time. So I did it one more time, and I paid attention to every piece of what I did. And I finally figured out that my chest was in him, and I did it, and I looked at him, and I sternly said, I believe I have the maneuver, and looked down and looked at him and said, don't I? And he said, yes.
Clearly, when things got physical, was anything offensive ever said to you?
There's this thing that happens, another common phrase that will be, talked about, someone will bang on the dash and say empty kitchen when there's a female pilot, implying that we need to be in the kitchen and not flying.
Ultimately, you got out of aviation because of all this sexist pressure, but these instances, they come from a small group of people, right? And why do they persist on behaving this way?
That is one of the biggest reasons I left aviation, because I will say 90% of the guys are fine, 90%, but there's that 10%, and they know that they can get away with it, and they're very aware.
Kelly Nicholson, thanks for joining us today, Kelly. That's all the time we have today for JJTV. Please be sure to like and subscribe, post and share. We'll see you next time. I'm Joseph James.